Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the thrilling, totally heart-wrenching mid-2000s era of Dunfermline Athletic Football Club. Look, if you've ever invested your heart and soul into a sports team, you know that being a fan isn't just about popping champagne when you win. It's about surviving the absolutely crushing lows. And honestly, few eras in modern Scottish football capture that beautiful agony quite like the story of Dunfermline Athletic, affectionately known to their fans as the Pars during this really specific window of time. So, what does it actually take to push giants to the absolute brink, only to lose it all in the final seconds? Let's dive right into this, because the story of this stubborn, resilient provincial club perfectly captures the emotional roller coaster of backing an underdog. I mean, how does a team find the sheer willpower to punch way above its weight class, stare down these massive, heavily funded favorites, and hold the line right until the absolute brink, only to watch it slip away in the dying moments of the match? That's the deeply human, kind of tragic magic we're going to explore today. Section 1. The Pars roller coaster era. We're focusing on a period totally defined by incredible highs, giant-killing runs, and devastating late-game heartbreak. Section 2. 2004. European Dreams Dashed. Let's look at our first major event and see how European nights, the absolute holy grail for a provincial football club, turned into a literal waking nightmare for Dunfermline. The context around this 2004 UEFA Cup march-up is just wild. Dunfermline had waited 34 long years for a European home tie, but in a completely bizarre twist, UEFA actually rejected the artificial pitch at their beloved East End Park, which forced the team and all their fans to relocate to Perth. Even so, they came into the match with a 2-2 aggregate away goals advantage. They were heavy favorites against FH Hafnarfjordur. And get this, their opponents were literally a team of part-time mechanics, plumbers, and students from Iceland. It was supposed to be a historic, easy night of celebration. So the tension in the stadium is just palpable for most of the match. The game is locked at a really stressful 0-0 all the way until the 72nd minute. But then, Greg Shield swings over a beautiful cross and Gary Dempsey reacts first to smash it home, 1-0 to Dunfermline. With only 18 minutes left on the clock, those Icelandic amateurs now need 2 whole goals to win the tie. Advancement seems entirely in the bag, right? The crowd is on its feet, ready to celebrate a triumph decades in the making. But right here is where the ticking clock of tragedy starts. With just 7 minutes left in normal time, disaster strikes out of absolutely nowhere. A high ball gets lofted into the box, leaving defender Scott Thompson concussed on the play. Amid all that confusion, Armin Smari Bjornsson manages to turn the ball in at the post. The nearly 7,200 fans in attendance are just utterly stunned into silence. Suddenly, the tie is level. The away goals advantage is totally neutralized, and the momentum shifts entirely toward the visitors. And then, right at the 90th minute, literally the worst possible time to concede, the ultimate gut punch arrives. From a rare, deep corner kick, the ball drops into this chaotic, crowded box. It lands right at the feet of center back Tommy Nielsen, and he nets the late winner. The amateurs plunder Perth with a 2-1 victory, sending the Pars crashing out of Europe in the most agonizing way you can imagine. The team is left devastated on the pitch. It's just a brutally abrupt end to a tie they had firmly in their grasp minutes prior. Section 3, 2007, the unlikely finalists. Fast forward 3 years. The club is dealing with total domestic turmoil, yet they somehow author one of the most astonishing cup runs in modern Scottish history. You really have to appreciate the sheer willpower required for this run. While they're simultaneously battling severe domestic league relegation, meaning they are fighting for their lives every single week just to avoid being sent down a division, they're out here slaying absolute giants in the Scottish Cup. They shock Rangers 3-2. They knock out the reigning cup holders, Hearts, with a 90th minute winner. They sweep past Partick Thistle, and then they edge out a high-flying Hibernian side in a super tense semifinal replay. This was a squad that just flat out refused to quit when the lights were brightest. Talk about the ultimate David versus Goliath matchup. On one side, you've got mighty Celtic. They're the freshly crowned SPL champions, chasing a domestic double, sitting on 33 previous cup wins, and absolutely loaded with attacking stars. On the other side, a battered Dunfermline. They were freshly relegated to the First Division, missing key players to suspensions and injuries, and forced into a highly defensive 4-5-1 setup by manager Stephen Kenny. On paper, everyone predicted a comfortable walkover for Celtic. Section 4, Heartbreak at Hampton, May 26, 2007. The air is thick with anticipation in front of nearly 50,000 spectators at Hampton Park. Now, the match stats tell a pretty predictable story. Celtic dominates with 59% possession, they're outshooting Dunfermline, and they're hoarding the corner kicks. They controlled the tempo exactly as everyone expected them to. But what data simply cannot measure is heart. Dunfermline defended with absolute stubborn grit. Instead of crumbling, they turned this match into a stuffy, nervous, incredibly frustrating affair for the favorites. They literally made Celtic fight for every single inch of grass. And the Pars weren't just rolling over. Striker Mark Burchell actually nearly shocked Celtic in the 3rd minute with an opportunistic shot that skewed just wide. After that early warning, it became a complete masterclass in holding back the tide. We're talking heroic, breathless defensive performances, especially from towering center back Soliman Bamba, who went on to rightfully win Man of the Match. Goalkeeper Doris de Vries was an absolute wall. Against all conventional wisdom, they keep the game locked at a 0-0 stalemate deep into the second half. But just like in 2004, that ticking clock is unspeakably cruel. We hit the 84th minute. Dunfermline is just 6 minutes away from taking the mighty Celtic to extra time in a major cup final. The tension is almost unbearable. Every single clearance gets a massive roar. And then history repeats itself. A desperate, late push from Celtic finally breaks the resistance. Defender Jean-Joël Perrier-Doumbé pushes forward, passes to substitute Craig Beattie on the right wing. And, by sheer cruel luck, the ball deflects perfectly back into Perrier-Doumbé's path. He just stabs it home past De Vries from close range. And that's it. That's the only goal of the match. After 84 minutes of flawless, exhausting defense, they break. The physical and mental devastation of those players is absolute, as their dreams are brutally crushed in the final moments of yet another historic match. Section 5. A legacy of resilience. It's so easy to look at a 90th minute loss in 2004 and an 84th minute loss in 2007 and just write it off as failure. But the emotional toll didn't even end at Hampton. Heading into the very next season in the First Division, the roller coaster just kept going. Because they were cup runners-up, they incredibly earned a UEFA Cup spot, only to be knocked out right away by Swedish minnows BK Häcken. Domestically, they dusted themselves off, fought their way to another final, the Scottish Challenge Cup, and somehow suffered another tragic loss, falling 3-2 to St. Johnstone. The agony of coming so close just seemed to haunt them endlessly. I mean, it takes a massive psychological toll to keep reaching the precipice of glory, only to be shoved back down the mountain at the final hurdle. But manager Stephen Kenny really summed it up perfectly after that heartbreaking Celtic defeat. He said, "I can't fault any of our players for their efforts. They were terrific." And that is the true, enduring legacy of this era. The immense effort of this provincial club, battling through injuries, fighting off relegation, enduring stadium displacement, and still pushing well-funded giants to the absolute edge, is nothing short of terrific. It's a true testament to the human spirit in sports. So I want to leave you with this final thought. When a team consistently battles giants, only to fall in the final seconds, is their legacy defined by those agonizing final minutes? Or is it defined by the sheer grit, the giant killings, and the undeniable heart it took to even be in a position to lose everything at the final whistle? I know where I stand. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep celebrating the fighting spirit of the underdogs.